What is up, guys? Topic of today is mid-side EQing. This is a little trick that you can learn and it will significantly help your mixdowns. It's going to give you a bit more flexibility when you're EQing so you can focus on either the middle or the sides in specific. I've got one of my tracks here today that we'll go through. It's one that I'm actively working on, and I'm going to use two techniques to do this mid-side EQing. The first one is going to be with Ozone, where we're specifically targeting middle or the sides on various instruments of mine. And the second one is going to be using a plugin called MSED. This one is actually free. And although you can't necessarily EQ the specific spots, you can actually adjust the volume specifically on the mids or the sides. So it's also a very similar idea. So without further ado, we will get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at my hat bus here, and we're going to listen to it on its own. I'm actually going to, let me just go ahead and take this Ozone off. I did do a little bit of mid-side EQing to bring up the width on these, but we'll go ahead and start from scratch here. So basically what I'm going to do with my hat bus is I'm going to go to Ozone 9. This plugin's great. You can use it for mastering your tracks. It's kind of a quick way to put a master before you maybe send it out as a demo, but it's also a good source for other things and for specifically mid-side EQing. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to take off the maximizer. I don't need to bring the volume up or blah, 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 do any of that mastering type of stuff. I'm going to focus specifically on the EQ. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this stereo button, and then we're going to go to mid-side. Now you'll see there's two buttons here, middle or side. We're going to listen to these hats real quick on their own before I do anything to them, just so you can get an idea of what they sound like. Okay, you get the idea. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the mids. So I'm going to brighten the mids. I'm going to go about 6K, and then I'm going to go ahead and start playing it, and we'll just see how it sounds. Okay, so you can definitely hear there's a little bit of brightness coming in into the middle of those hi-hats. It's really bringing it out in the center. Now I'm going to start another instance of Ozone here. I'm going to turn this one off, and I'm going to try and brighten the sides. So we'll do the same thing, go to mid-side, specifically target the side, and we're going to do it. So yeah, you can hear now that we're really just brightening up the sides there, and it's giving some width to the drums. I mean, I'll use this with shakers, I'll use it with hi-hats to specifically brighten those sides. A lot of times I find that my drums are right down the center and I want to add more width, so this is one technique to do that. So let's go ahead and just compare these side by side, and then you can kind of get an idea of what brightening up the mids and then what brightening up the sides is really doing and how they're different. So let's listen first with this one, and then I'll just kind of toggle on and off. Okay, sweet. So you get the idea. In this instance, I don't really want to brighten up the mids anymore because I'm actually going to try and leave space for the vocal. A lot of times you want the vocal kind of up front in front of the drums. At least that's how I think about it. I've also heard of other mixing and mastering engineers. Basically, they'll use something like track spacer. So they'll basically sidechain their drums to their vocal and then have the drums kind of duck where the vocal is. Just another way to kind of make the vocal more present. But so in this case, I'm going to widen the hi-hats And then we can go, actually, let's go back to our vocal now and try and brighten up the mids in the vocal to kind of bring that out more front and center. So right here, I don't really like the mids, so I'm going to take this ozone instance off, and then I'm going to leave the sides on because I like brightening up the sides. I think this sounds pretty good. It's a little overkill. I kind of wanted you to get the idea of just hearing it, so I'll bring it down to maybe like 2.5 or something like that. Now, let me toggle off the hat bus, and we're going to go, now we're going to listen to this vocal because I want to make room for it. So let's actually listen to the whole idea here of the track, and then we'll specifically target the vocal. Cool. So let's go ahead and throw ozone on this first vocal here. And again, I just want the vocal to sound more present in the center. You can almost kind of feel how it's got a lot of high-end energy, but there's also so much high-end energy in the brightness of the drums that they're kind of conflicting with each other. So, instead of maybe ducking one for the other, we're just going to kind of try and center the vocal and then add the width to the drums. So let's look at this and go to mid side again. Take the maximizer off, go to the mids, and then we're going to listen to this one specifically. I can't help it, falling in love. I can't help it, I can't help it, I can't help it, falling in love. Cool, so we're definitely adding some presence to the middle of that vocal. Now let's listen. It's going to be subtle, I think, but it's still going to help a lot. Cool. I'm actually going to try, I'm going to see if I can bring some more up maybe in this and some other regions just to make it more present. It seems a little thin to me, so let's try that. I can't help it, falling in love. I can't help it, falling in love. I can't help it, I can't help it, falling in love. I can't help it, I can't help it, falling in love. I can't help it. Okay, let's just listen to this all together. Sweet, I'm just gonna go ahead and, it might be a little loud, but I can kind of mess with the volume later. I'm getting that presence that I want. I will say using a lot of instances of ozone like this is going to slow your computer down. So if you have a bus, it's easier, like what I was doing on the drums, but just for accessibility right now, I'm going to do it quickly here. Okay, sweet. Let's give this one more listen. Sweet. Yeah, I think that sounds better. You can exaggerate it a little bit more. This is just one use case for it. But yeah, you can get the idea really quickly. And if you over exaggerate it a little bit, you can really tell the difference. So yeah, that's enough with ozone. Let's go ahead and check out MSED. I really like this plugin. It's free. Ozone standard cost, I think it's like, I don't know, 80 bucks or something. It's kind of expensive, but definitely a good plugin for mastering and for mid-side EQing. But yeah, let's look at MSED. I'm trying to think if there's anything I would use this in specific for. Maybe the piano. Let's just use the piano as the example. I might not keep this, but we'll just use it as an example. So MSED. Yeah, this plugin's great and super simple. The two knobs that I like to use are the mid gain and the side gain. And in the same way that we were just EQing the mids versus the sides, we can actually just turn the volume up of the mids or turn the volume down of the sides. So I'll do this sometimes with, if I get a sample and it's like panned really far left, sometimes I'll be like, okay, well, I want this more center. So then you don't want to overdo it, but like sometimes I'll bring up the mids a little bit more and then lower the sides, and it just kind of centers the hi-hat a little bit more. But we'll go ahead and test it out right here. I think what I want to do is make the piano wider. So I'll probably bring up the side gain and down the middle gain, but we'll just see how it sounds. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's doing a lot. It's really adding some like width and just adding a lot more to the piano. It just sounds a lot more present. And let's do the same thing we did with the mid-side EQing. I'm going to kind of just toggle these on and off. This is just for example. I would definitely want to keep the sides boosted, but we'll go ahead and turn the mids up on this instance and just see the difference. So yeah, so I mean, it's pretty simple. There's not a lot to it, and that's why I really like this, just like using mids and sides to your advantage, because it really just gives you kind of another dimension to work in on your music. When I first learned about this, I was like mind blown. I was like, I can't believe this is actually a thing. I'm used to EQing everything all at once, and so like really having that flexibility to like focus in on the mids or the sides was huge. Let's give this one more listen now that we've added more width to this piano. It might sound a little loud and then we can mess with the volume, but we'll just see how it sounds. Sweet. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can ask in the comment section. But yeah, I think it's a really useful technique, whether you're a beginner or if you're more advanced. Definitely something that'll increase your mix down game. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. Cheers.